Now, as we move forward in episode 3, and like I told you, I'm going to try my best to condense this as much as possible, but there was just so much that happened from 1999 to 2009. Um, it's just a decade of Diddy hell. Like, it's crazy. In the midst of all of this, you have huge, huge business deals, huge success, which just took his fame to a whole nother level. You got Sean John, which became a household name in urban fashion. You know, when you think about all of the young people who were running out and getting those coats, running out buying those jeans, him being able to sit on Making the Band and promote, sunglasses, jackets, sweaters, shirts. Like, it was a pure pipeline into influencing pop culture on a whole nother level. And that was something that Aubrey O'Day said when he was already famous and he already had it all. But that whole Making the Band situation and everything that he was able to craft from that, it just took it to a whole nother level, and as the whole Danity Kane ship started to fall apart, he just pretty much took it and replaced it with another group, Diddy Dirty Money. And he took Don Richard, and then he found Kalina. And Kalina, in my opinion, in this documentary, is probably the most pathetic person in all of the people that were given their testimony. She's literally sitting there in the documentary talking about, she's in the middle of a custody battle. She's in the middle talking about, how she asked him for $5,000 to help her get a lawyer because she's fighting for her kids. Meanwhile, she's leaving out the fact that the husband that she's in all of these contentious legal battles with, who are using her children as pawns to try to destroy her and whatever she has left to offer in life, is one of Diddy's number one minions. So you're sitting here in this documentary. I'm not afraid of Puff, and I don't know what was going on, and I didn't see anything, and it had nothing to do with me, and I got to be careful about what I say because it could affect my custody. Why would it affect your custody? I'll tell you why it'll affect your custody. Because Diddy's probably financing your husband against you. It was said to me years ago that the only reason her and her husband was together is because Diddy wanted to have somebody there that could control her and handle up on her. And from what I've heard, he's done just that. I'm sitting there listening to her, talk about how they were, it was just drug culture, drug central. There was all kinds of pharmaceuticals around. There was all kinds of cocaine around. And you can see that this is somebody who was suffering from the effects of either withdrawal or current addiction. Like, she's tweaking. This entire interview, she's tweaking. Anyone who knows anything about what drug addiction does to people, or has seen it or been in the presence of it, you can tell this woman struggles. She struggles. And she's in this documentary talking just crazy. Yeah. Kim was boss bitch. Like, you can tell she was coached, whether or not she wanted to admit it or not. This is also one of the witnesses that Diddy was calling, not just before he went to jail, but while he was in jail. He was calling her and badgering her and calling her and badgering her, and yet wouldn't even help her try to get her kids back. I don't want nobody to think that I'm afraid of Puff. Like, it was just really sad to watch, but by the time you get to Diddy, Dirty Money, which was just, okay, I killed the Danity Kane project, so now I need to be able to take all of those fans and make sure they have something else. And meanwhile, he's the lead artist in the group. It's him, and these two women are his backups, even though they were the talent. And he still got ghostwriters, and it's more of a shit show And then, boom, comes Cassie. And, the way Cassie just kind of, the way she was preyed upon, I'm still surprised that people aren't seeing it like that. Yes, every young starlet wants to be able to catch the eye of a top executive, especially if you want to be in the music industry, especially if you want to be a star, you want to be an actress, you want to get the brand deals, you want to get all of this. Like they groom young women to cater to the egos of these executives so that you can get to the top, so that you can get in the door. But the level of grooming that Cassie went through, it's egregious. It's out of control, which is why I never understood how people felt comfortable demonizing her and villainizing her. She was a 19-year-old girl who was involved with a multi millionaire who had the ability to pay off cops, pay off DAs allegedly, buy the best lawyers around, private investigators, people that were willing to follow her, people that were willing to spy on her. And the Ciroc deal happened, and then that just that took his money to a whole nother level. So she's literally locked into a 10-album deal, and now locked into being the mistress to a man who was supposed to be in a committed relationship with Kim Border, who was supposed to be this boss bitch, but everybody knew that he was messing with this one and messing with that one, and he was messing with this one and messing with that one. Like it's just constant overlap. But as we move forward and we see the way he used her for his sexual gratification, all of the sex workers, all of the just the nasty, and it was normalized to the point where he was able to go on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and show a commercial ad for that fragrance 3 a.m., which is kind of disturbing in its own right. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But you got Andy Cohen sitting there watching this soft porn television commercial ad of Cassie bucking naked and Diddy dressed while she's being pandered and showed, and there's slapping and there's hitting and there's choking, and there's this heavy sexual content, and he's sitting here talking about, well, I'm just being my authentic self, and this is like one of my fantasies, and this is how we get down, and you got Andy Cohen, oh my God, your girlfriend is so beautiful and she's all natural. Like, it was really the Devil Wears Prada, sick and depraved, weirdo shit. And people really aren't paying attention to the esoteric side of this. The whole 3 a.m. In the spiritual community, 3 a.m. is known as the witching hour. It's known as the hour where, demonic forces, satanic forces are hardest at work. So to have this commercial for a product called 3 a.m., a lot of people tend to forget when Rihanna signed to Def Jam and she was alone with Mr. Carter, it was at 3 a.m. There's a lot of things that you'll hear that happens in the industry at 3 a.m. Who's doing business at that time of the night? But hey, whatever. You can see just, this is beyond influence. This is utter, complete, straight control. She was being marketed as a sexual object. Meanwhile, she's got a 10-album deal, and I don't even think Cassie put out 2 albums. She had some singles. She did a couple of movies. But you can see, her specific role in his life was to be a sex slave, and for him to use her however he saw fit. It's yeah, I don't see how anyone in that courtroom, especially in the jury box, how anyone could even use the word love where all of this was concerned. It's impossible. I think one of the nastiest moments though was when the sex worker, the Clayton, whatever his name is, I find him really just nasty work. You can see how badly he wants to be attached to this story. You can see how badly he wants to be attached to Cassie. And just he's somewhere between wanting to play victim and then wanting to say, yeah, that was me. I'm that guy. I was there. Just really, really, really greasy, disgusting. But him bragging about how on the anniversary of Biggie's death every year for like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 years, he was called in and flown in to do these Freakoff parties in honor of Biggie. And then you see the images of Diddy and his mom just dancing, like they dancing on Big's grave. Like it's insane. And Cassie is just caught up in all of this. And I'm not saying by any means was she innocent in any of the bad choices or any of the things that she had done or she had said. I mean, there was a lot of harsh stuff that came out about her, text messages, the trial, the whole 9 yards. But when you see a young girl being groomed to be this object for this very depraved person, I don't know how you can just take all of that and just throw that on her. But whatever. I mean, as we can see, like Diddy was running the show, and then there's more alcohol and there's more drugs and there's more and then just the whole him in the studio and everybody's high and all of the party, and like I'm still not understanding how people are having a hard time just accepting this demon for who he actually is. Like, this girl was there from 2006 to 2016 before she ran away. Before she had the courage to stay away, and until she was able to find someone who was willing to be there for her and help her with her transition away from this very toxic, dangerous lifestyle. And that's the man that she's married to and now has 3 children with, Alex Fine. I don't understand. And what's even crazier is that the year that she left was the same year that the footage from that awful video we saw of him brutalizing her and beating the crap out of her in that hotel, putting his hands on her, putting his feet on her, dragging her like trash. I guess people also forget about the time where she was clearly terrified and she was hidden up underneath a blanket while they were together, and he was sitting there just talking about her and disparaging her and humiliating her on Instagram. I guess everybody keeps forgetting about this. I wonder exactly how badly he beat on her before then. It's like people really, really, really don't want to believe what they see, and you see the people asking her about him. What kind of guy is Puffy? What's he really like? And she, oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. If that were true, she would be able to say, he's been doing this and he's been doing that, and we do this, and he's taught me this and he's taught me that. No, he's a good guy. Yeah, no, he's really great. Like, you can see that it's all bullshit. You know, I'm just, I just thought it was also very interesting how, at the end of episode 3, they go right back to him right before he's about to be arrested in his own, video footage. And he's out in the streets and he's sitting there pretending like, he likes where he came from. He's sitting there pretending like he cares about these people, and he's home, and rallying that support. And then he goes and jumps, and these people are trifling, they're dirty, they're disgusting, they're nasty, and I don't want to be nowhere near them. So yeah, episode 3, in my opinion, it's just another deep dive into what a demon this person is, what a devil he is, and how easily he can lie, how easily he has absolutely no problem with committing to tricking and fooling the public, and how easily he can allow himself to slip into just that full-on demon time and just become one of the most abusive and harmful individuals that you could ever want to see. And it's just, I wonder how the jury is feeling right now, because I'm sure they're watching this documentary as well. I wonder how they're feeling right now about the choice that they made, to give him the lightest sentence possible, and to send a message out to the rest of the world that there's nothing wrong with this guy. He's a great guy. He got involved in a bad relationship, and he was so in love, he just lost his temper from time to time. Like, it's really kind of pathetic. So on that note, I'm going to get ready to just cap it off here, and I'm going to say that episode 3, if you didn't hate him in episode 2, you're definitely going to hate him by the end of episode 3. And once again, I'm telling you, this docu-series was engineered to make it impossible for you not to hate this person. Very strategic. Very strategic. And like I said, it was so sanitized. There was so many other things that were kept out of all of this. So many other things. And you still can't help but see the evil, because that's how obvious it is. So I want y'all to think about that when you see all of these rappers running around, sticking up for him, talking about how this is unfair, and all of this shit. I just think about that, because the question is what do they know about him, and what does he know about them? Why are they backing this up? Why are they still making excuses when you can see it as plain as day? I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. I feel it. There's something else happening. There's another shoe that's about to drop. And all this is doing is priming the public. So on that note, I'll see you guys back for episode 4, the review. Sean Combs, The Reckoning, the docu-series. Whew, what a mess. Peace.